Yungeen Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups.
Jacksonville's Sheriff TK Waters recently made headlines after directly calling out rapper Yungeen Ace, along with his crew ATK, in connection to the death of fellow rapper Julio Foolio. Following the arrest of suspects believed to be tied to Foolio's murder, the sheriff delivered a public message warning the group. He did not hold back. Sheriff Waters even mentioned the growing presence of drill rap in Jacksonville, a style of music that many people often link to Chicago. But as the sheriff explained, it is very much alive in Florida too. You might think drill is a Chicago thing, but we have it here, he said. And down here, when we see it stirring up trouble, we do not sit back. We push back. Some of these guys already know they cannot stay in Jacksonville anymore. One moment that really stood out was when he brought up a specific drill song that had gone viral. The track had sampled Vanessa Carlton's hit, 8,000 Miles. But instead of a feel-good anthem, it turned into a chilling list. The rappers used the beat to name people who had been murdered in Jacksonville. Real people. Real lives lost. About 5 or 6 names, the sheriff noted. This is what drill music is, he added. It might seem like just songs, but they're talking about real victims. People with families. With mothers and fathers who are still grieving. Sheriff Waters made it clear, this kind of music might seem catchy, but its message has real consequences. And in Jacksonville, they are not going to ignore it. The sheriff did not just focus on the violence, he made sure to speak about the pain that follows. These were not just names in a song, he said. They were sons. They were brothers. They had mothers and fathers. They had siblings who are still trying to cope with the loss. He stressed how the effects of this kind of violence ripple through entire families. While some people might treat it like a game or a joke, the grief it causes is very real. Meanwhile, police have been keeping a close watch on Yungeen Ace for some time now. Their investigation into the murder of Julio Foolio recently led to the arrests of 5 suspects: Alicia, Isaiah, Sean, Rashad, and Devon. But according to law enforcement, they believe Yungeen Ace is not just associated, they view him as the mastermind behind it all. This belief has had serious consequences for him professionally. He claims that law enforcement has been going out of their way to make sure he does not perform. According to Yungeen Ace, every time he books a concert, police departments start making calls to get it canceled. I do not even live in Jacksonville anymore, he said in frustration. But y'all still trying to stop my shows? Y'all are messing with my money. Y'all are messing with my life because of what you think I am doing. He said he had a performance lined up in Tampa canceled. Another in Virginia, canceled again. From his point of view, it feels like no matter where he goes, someone is pulling strings behind the scenes to keep him off stage. To him, it is not just about music anymore, it is personal. Yungeen Ace's frustrations only seemed to grow as more of his concerts were unexpectedly shut down. My show in Gainesville? Cancelled. The one before Daytona? Same thing, he said, clearly fed up. Like, what is really going on? Authorities claim their actions are tied to more than just precaution. They believe Ace had a hand in something far deeper. According to police, a leaked video online became the key turning point in their investigation. In it, a masked man, whose identity remains hidden, openly admits to targeting Julio Foolio. The video features the man claiming that Yungeen Ace placed a $10,000 bounty on Foolio's head. With a tone that mixed pride and recklessness, the man said, "On everything I love, my soul, my kids, I was the one who put hands on Julio Foolio at his birthday party. I will not show my face, but I did that. You know, Ace told me to handle it. He put the money up. He got tired of Foolio running his mouth." He went on to say that he was close to ATK and heavy in Jacksonville streets, and that what happened was just business. The chilling part? His words were delivered not with regret, but with pride. Once the video went viral, retaliation followed fast. Word on the streets was that Foolio's people had finally caught Ace slipping. Rumors flew about another possible hit, deepening the already dangerous feud. But with tensions boiling, Ace suddenly shifted course. In a surprising announcement, he said he was leaving ATK behind. There is no such thing as ATK anymore. That chapter is over, he declared in a video, explaining his frustrations, not just with the heat from the streets, but with the disloyalty he felt from within. I was the only one really out there, spending money, getting my hands dirty, he said. When it is time to step up, they go silent. Even hip-hop commentator DJ Academics hinted that Ace might be next in line. Why would he say that? Ace responded when told that WAC 100 predicted he was the next target. Why would you wish that on me? But in the world Ace is trying to leave behind, high-profile names often come with high-level risks, and the streets rarely forget. When asked why so much attention is always placed on him, Young and Ace responded with emotion. Why is it always me? He questioned. I've been living my life, staying to myself. I am not letting anyone catch me slipping. But even after the tragic death of Julio Foolio, many are wondering, is the situation finally done? According to Ace, the answer is no. There was never a real situation, he said. This life, it just keeps going. But the past says otherwise. Years ago, a chilling moment scarred Ace deeply. He recalled the night he was ambushed at a restaurant, a setup meant for him that ended with his brother RJ losing his life. I tried to help RJ. I told him to open the door, Ace said, his voice full of pain. He told me he couldn't move. I tried to open the door, but it was too late. While Ace has survived multiple attempts on his life, this time it is different. Now, it is not just the streets, it is law enforcement. The feds have gathered what they believe is clear evidence that Ace played a central role in the setup that ended Foolio's life. The official report paints a tragic picture. Julio Foolio, born June 21, 1998, came to Tampa to celebrate his birthday. He and his team rented an Airbnb, and within moments, Foolio went live, sharing his exact location online, an unwritten rule in the rap world that he broke without hesitation.
I thought that was a Chicago thing.
No, man, it's down here too, man. And the thing about it is we like to run them out of town.
Pool party starts at 5 or 6. If you got the address, pull up. If not, DM me, he posted, full of energy. His Instagram was filled with real-time updates, an open invitation that may have cost him everything. What was supposed to be a celebration turned into something much darker. The energy in Tampa was high that evening. Julio Foolio was in full celebration mode, hyping up his birthday bash on social media. Pool party starts at 5:30, he announced with excitement, urging people to pull up. The Airbnb was buzzing, and instead of playing it safe, Foolio chose to update his Instagram in real time, a dangerous move in a world where timing and location can mean everything. As the drinks flowed and the music played, Foolio's enemies were quietly keeping tabs. By constantly broadcasting his exact location, Foolio unknowingly gave his rivals a front-row seat to his every move. In street culture, especially among rappers, it is an unspoken rule to never post your whereabouts until well after you have left. But Foolio broke that rule again and again. Not long into the party, things took a turn. Police were called to the Airbnb, and soon the landlord had Foolio and his crew removed. Most people would have taken that as a sign to lay low for the night. But not Foolio. Instead, he doubled down. He posted a flyer for a nearby club, inviting everyone to continue the celebration. Once inside the club, Foolio shared yet another update. Him and his entourage walking to the upstairs lounge, deep in numbers. "We 20 deep everywhere we go," he boasted. But while Foolio celebrated, his enemies were organizing. With every new post, they were gifted more time to create a plan, more details to act on. A chilling detail? The night Foolio was targeted, the 23rd, was no random date. That same number was tied to the lyrics of a diss track Foolio had once released mocking a rival's loss. It seemed symbolic and devastating. After a night of celebration, Julio and his crew gathered in the parking lot, ready to head to a nearby hotel. Julio's manager had secured a room for them at a Holiday Inn just down the street. However, their journey was far from smooth. As they arrived and waited outside, a wave of rival cars suddenly appeared, filled with street members looking to target Julio and his crew. Caught off guard after a night of partying, the crew was unprepared for what was about to unfold. Among the rivals, the primary goal was to find Julio, and when they did, it became clear that this was no random attack. It was a calculated act of retaliation tied directly to the 23rd of the month, a date tied to Julio's infamous diss track, When I See You. In this track, Julio mocked Yungeen and Ace for losing close friends, rapping, "Went out to eat on his birthday. For hit 3 passed in the worst way, he kept dissing on me. Now we hitting 23. It seemed that the 23rd had now become a symbol of both victory and vengeance. On that very same day, Ace's crew launched their counterattack. They hit 4 people, including Julio, on the 23rd, a twisted mirror of Julio's own words. The rivalry, fueled by personal loss and insults, had reached its boiling point. To add insult to injury, shortly after the incident, Ace released a track that reworked one of Julio's own lines. In Do It, Ace rapped about the attack, including the haunting line, "For in the car, and one of them gone, 3 got hit," effectively flipping Julio's diss against him. This move was a direct message from Ace and his crew. This was retaliation, pure and simple, and they were far from finished. But the situation didn't end there. Just hours after Julio's passing, Ace released another diss track aimed squarely at Julio. The timing couldn't have been more deliberate, and it was clear that Ace wasn't just responding to the loss, he was sending a loud and clear message to anyone following the ongoing feud. The escalating tension between Julio and Ace reached another boiling point when an old tweet from King Von resurfaced, adding fuel to the already raging fire. The tweet, which read, "Game over. We won, stupid," echoed through the streets like a victory chant for Ace's crew, adding a bitter, taunting tone to the rivalry. This tweet was a chilling reminder of the ongoing animosity that had been brewing for months, and it intensified the already volatile conflict between Julio and Ace, turning it into something even more personal. Just a month before Julio's untimely death, however, there had been a brief moment of hope. Julio, in an interview, had shared his plans to collaborate with Jay Breeze on a track designed to end the cycle of violence that had consumed their lives. He expressed a desire to break free from the constant back and forth, emphasizing the need to do this for the kids, for the youth, and to make this look better. His words carried a sense of urgency and determination, revealing a side of Julio that was focused on creating positive change amidst the chaos. He even discussed the logistics of the collaboration, mentioning how he and Jay Breeze were trying to find the right beat and connections to make the project happen. They had even reached out to each other directly, with Julio's family getting involved, signaling that the collaboration was a genuine effort to stop the violence. But as fate would have it, that collaboration never came to fruition. Despite their intentions to heal the rift and bring an end to the constant retaliation, external pressures, the deep-seated hatred, and the entrenched gang mentality prevented it from happening. The tragedy of Julio's death, especially given how close they were to trying to bring peace to the situation, left many wondering how much of the violence could have been avoided if the collaboration had been realized.
The police and I don't know how they be doing it, but they always...
Julio's death raised difficult questions about the cycle of retaliation in the rap world and the broader culture of violence that often shadows the industry. Had Julio's vision for peace been realized, perhaps it could have been a turning point, a chance to stop the destructive cycle. But now, the tragic irony remains. An attempt at reconciliation was too late to undo the harm that had already been done, leaving fans, family, and even the rivals wondering what might have been. Charleston White, a controversial figure, weighed in on the situation, offering his thoughts with a blunt and unsympathetic tone. Man, nobody should be sad about what happened to Julio Foolio, White said. He didn't go to heaven. He had all the time in the world to apologize, but instead, he kept taunting people, making songs that hurt others. White's remarks were harsh, focusing on the ongoing violence Julio participated in and the lives he affected. He pointed out that some people might even feel relieved by Julio's passing, while others would mourn him, but it was clear that his perspective was one of tough love, believing that Julio had sealed his own fate by his actions. At the heart of White's commentary was the history between Julio and Young and Ace's crew, specifically the tragic death of ATK Mitch, Young and Ace's close friend. Back in April 2022, Julio had an encounter with law enforcement that seemed to set off a chain of events. After being pulled over for driving with illegal window tint on his Dodge Durango, Julio's involvement with the crew and the violence that had surrounded him was brought further into the public eye. That event, among others, marked a turning point in the ongoing conflict between the two sides, one that would eventually lead to a deadly escalation. Julio found himself in an unsettling situation when officers stopped him for a routine traffic stop and ended up searching his vehicle without proper authorization. Once they realized who he was, things took a more serious turn. Julio was escorted into the back of their patrol car and quickly questioned about the death of ATK Mitch, a close associate of Young and Ace. The officer, in a calm but direct tone, mentioned that detectives wanted to speak with him about Mitch's passing. "I know you're not going to like it, but we need to talk," the officer said. "They're just going to ask what you know." Julio, trying to keep his cool, responded with hesitation, not fully understanding what was to come. "How long will this take?" he asked. "Not long," the officer replied, "depends on you." From there, Julio was taken to the station for further questioning. When asked about his relationship with Mitch, Julio kept his answers vague. "I used to see him around," he explained. "He'd come by and we'd hang out." The detectives pressed on, asking for more details. They wanted to know how close he was to Mitch, trying to understand their connection. "Can you tell us about your relationship with Mitch?" one detective asked. "How long have you known him?" Julio, keeping his guard up, simply replied, "I was in Miami when I heard the news." The detectives, hoping for any slip-up, then shifted their focus to Julio's role in the larger picture. They asked if his music had anything to do with the violence surrounding him. "Do you think your music, or the way you conduct yourself through your music, has anything to do with the crime around you?" one detective asked. Julio, standing firm, quickly shut down the accusation. "Even before I started rapping, things were like this," he said, shaking his head. "You can't just blame my music for this." They continued to press, suggesting that his music, especially the ongoing back and forth between him and his rivals, might be fueling the violence. But Julio remained steadfast in his belief that music alone couldn't incite such actions. "A song can't make someone do something," he asserted. "It doesn't work like that." Despite the constant questioning, the detectives had nothing concrete on Julio. They hoped that by probing his emotions or pushing him to reveal more, they could find a breakthrough. But Julio stayed resolute, refusing to provide any new information, leaving the police without the answers they were hoping for.